And welcome in, everyone, to the Donovan Live Postgame Show, because nobody does it like Jim Donovan.
There you go.
See, you know you've made it when you have a song written about you.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Right?
That's very nice.
You know you've made it. Welcome in, everyone, to the Donovan Live Postgame Show with Jimmy Donovan. I'm Dave DeNatale. We are presented by Master Pizza. Download the Master Pizza app. Start earning pizza points today. That's Master Pizza. Taste above all. We'll get to the Browns in a second because camp is over and you're about to get on a plane for Tampa Bay here and get ready for the Buccaneers on Friday. But you started this 77 seconds at 7 tonight mentioning Dan Gilbert is home from the rehab center after 8 weeks and recovering from the stroke. And it looks like the Cavs owner is doing a lot better than what we may have feared earlier this summer, and that is certainly great news.
Yeah, it is. It's really good news. I mean, it was really shocking to hear the news when it first came out. I mean, Dan is a vivacious guy,
Yes.
Businessman, obviously an owner with a lot of great ideas and has done a lot of great things in Detroit and, here in the Cleveland area. And so I wish him nothing but the best. I think that it sounds as though everything is on, a good steady climb. I think there was a lot of concern about it, and I think that both the Cavaliers and his many businesses, look for his leadership, and I think we really do. I mean, he's guided the Cavaliers through a lot of different kinds of climates.
Yeah, I mean, the Cavs had to get through without, Dan kind of being center stage, the draft and free agency and whatever trades they wanted to make. So a lot of it went up with the Kobe Altman, but also, he has minority partners. He has Len Komorowski, the kind of the president of the business side of the Cavaliers franchise. So, there were people there who knew their jobs, could keep it going. And then on the quick and loan side, you have Jay Farner, who kind of is the voice, so to speak. You hear you can't drive around and not hear, this is Jay Farner for Quicken Loans. But, they have that in place too. So it seemed like everything kind of was able to keep going without him because his presence is so big on everything that he does.
Yeah, it really is. I just wish him the best. It sounds like it's a long road, but he's well along his way, and he's been released from the facility in Chicago where he was rehabbing, and supposedly one of the greatest facilities for, what happened to Dan, to try and get people back and get them, up to speed and up to health. And gosh, I just wish him the best.
Indeed.
It was really shocking when it happened.
Yeah, it did, because we had just seen him at the John Beeline introductory press conference, days before or whatever. So that's certainly good news to pass on.
He was at the lottery too, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He
was at the lottery.
Right,
so we had seen him over and over, and it's like all of a sudden now we don't see him anymore. Right. And it was nice to get that news today from Jay Farner and the people at Quicken Loans that Dan is home from the rehab center. Now, training camp is finally done, Jim Donovan. All the hours that you've put in Berea, watching things, doing the training camp daily. Now, is tonight the season finale?
It is the season finale.
Yeah.
And what a finale! Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
John Dorsey, Baker Mayfield, Freddie Kitchens. I mean, wow.
Yeah. I mean,
little Braxton Miller.
That's right.
For you Buckeye fans.
What was your when you heard that the Browns have signed Braxton Miller? I mean, I remember when thinking that, boy, he and that Houston offense could have worked out really well, and it just sounds like it didn't. But the Browns want to get a look at him. They've got 2 preseason games and a bunch of practices to see what he can do.
Yeah, well, I think the reality is this: the Browns need some wide receivers to finish out the preseason, because Landry and Beckham are not going to play on Friday night. DJ Montgomery is injured. He's got a hamstring. In fact, they put him on IR. And so he is out. And I think they're very interested in him. And I think they also were a little bit worried, Dino, that they would not be able to get him onto a practice squad because he was playing so well. And I think they're interested in him. He goes on IR. Callaway's got a high ankle sprain, so he's not playing. So they have a number of people. Ishmael Hyman is in concussion protocol. So they need some receivers to just finish out these last 2 games. So it works out for them, and it works out for him to get into a camp and get himself on tape, not only for the Browns, but for everybody else, because everybody else is out there looking for someone. He actually lost his spot in Philadelphia because Josh McCown came out of retirement.
Oh, okay. So that was how, because everything is a numbers game.
Right,
everything is a numbers game.
Exactly.
Somebody asked yesterday, and we were so busy talking about Baker and everything. Do you expect, as we get into cut downs, and that'll start after the third preseason game, and then obviously finish after the fourth preseason game, anybody that we should be maybe going, really? He's on the bubble? Anybody out there that for as far as cut down that might surprise people?
Well, I would say that probably because of lack of activity, because of injury and injury history, that Seth Duvall could be in a tough spot as far as the numbers go at tight end. And he was hurt again for another concussion, and he's been hurt in his other years with the Browns. And for instance, last year, he made the team last year, and it was a bit surprising at that point because he had not played at all in the preseason. But they brought him back, and he was hurt through the front part of the season, and then he finally got in later on. And that had happened the year before, too, his first year in the league, and it happened again at this training camp. But they're a little bit more fortified at tight end right now with other people. They have Demetrius Harris is there. They have Pharaoh Brown. They brought another guy in, Rico Gathers, who came in with a Dallas Cowboy existence in the past. And so I don't know if they have another kid from Princeton, Stephen Carlson. But I think that Seth probably, is running out of time to make this particular team because of the lost time that he's had. Other guys, they have some tough decisions to make at wide receiver. I think they like Damian Ratley a great deal. So like I said to you last night and to all of you out there on the show, that they'll probably play him a lot in Tampa because he's missed time. But he's a wide receiver who I think they have great interest in. I don't know if the kid Sheehy Giuseppe is going to make the team. He had the punt return, but he really lacks as a wide receiver. And for a guy like that to make it, you have to have a dual role. I mean, he has to have more than just returning punts. And you got to remember this. They have Callaway, and they won't have him for the first 4 games. And incidentally, someone's going to make the team that probably wouldn't have made the team for the first 4 weeks because Callaway's spot does not count for the first 4 weeks during suspension. So they'll get a spot there. But Callaway will be their punt returner when he comes back.
Has Jalen Strong more or less gotten himself a roster spot the way he's played?
Yeah, I really do. I think so. He had a very good game last week, and he was pretty good at the stadium the week before that against the Redskins, but he was exceptional in the game last week. He's a big receiver, and they like that because Landry and Beckham and Higgins probably, although Higgins not so much, but certainly with Landry and Beckham, they're on the smallish side. And they want to give Baker some big targets. And Njoku's a big target. Demetrius Harris is a big target. But Jalen Strong is a big target. And I think that he has probably pushed himself a little bit farther ahead than Derek Willis. And I thought Willis was way ahead at the start of camp. I think they like Willis too. So there are some tough decisions there. There are some people that think that Austin Corbett, believe it or not, could be on the bubble. I don't. I think they're going to keep Corbett. I think down the road Austin Corbett's going to be their center at some point.
Right.
J.C. Tretter, his contract is up at the end of the year. He's at a pretty good, hefty number now. I wonder if that number might be a little bit too rich for them for that position.
Yeah, I think they're going to want to give Corbett every opportunity because they invested a second round. I mean, a high second round.
The highest you can get.
Yeah. I mean, on him. So I might.
And the other thing, there are some young defensive backs that they're very, very high on that might not make the team off, that might not make the 53-man roster, but that they would love to get on the practice squad. I mean, there's a kid, Javal Dean that's out there. He's been playing pretty well for them. I mean, there are some guys that they have. I mean, that's how much they've improved the roster. That there are guys that they're saying, can we get this guy in the practice squad? That's why you might not see some of them play over the weekend because they're trying to hide them. I mean, and that's what they try and do. If you go back a few years ago, they were trying to hide Isaiah Crowell.
I remember
that. They put him in the last preseason game, and he ran for like 130 yards in the fourth quarter against the Bears. And that was the end of hiding him, and they had to put him on the regular roster.
Right, and he ended up being that it was he and Ben Tate, I think, that year?
Yeah, it was Terrence West.
And Terrence West,
and
that's
Ben
right.
Tate.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep. That was That was in the Kyle Shanahan offense that year.
That's right. The zone running, the zone blocking scheme, and that they had a good thing going.
They really did.
Had a good thing going earlier in the season, and then remember they got rid of Bente because he was a disconsolate guy. He just was not happy, so they got rid of him. And those two guys, they went with those two young guys.
Worked out pretty well. What is up with Chad Thomas? Jay wants to know.
I think Chad Thomas is okay. They're really looking for pass rush, and I think he's fine. I think he'll make the team. When he has played, he's played well. He really has. He was motivated by the coach early on in training camp to pick it up. He did. He picked it up. He really picked it up. And I think he's okay. I think he's fine. I think that he'll fit in right behind Garrett and Vernon.
Baker Mayfield said today he would like to play at least a half on Friday in Tampa Bay. I'd like to go to Hawaii. You can't always get what you want. Are his pleas to play going to be, listened to by Freddie Kitchens, or are they going to say, hey, look, we're thinking about 2 weeks down the road. We're not thinking about Tampa Bay.
Yeah, well, they are. I think what Baker is saying is, I've only taken 7 snaps, I think, in the game. I think that was a 7-play drive, I think, wasn't it? Anyway, I think he wants to play, and they have to listen to him and say, all right, if you need some time. But, when you play him, you have to play the number 1 offensive line with him.
Yes.
So you have
to give him, you said you won't have Landry, you won't have Beckham, but you better have Higgins, and you better have at least Jalen Strong.
See, I think they might pull back on Higgins, too, a little bit on Friday, because Higgins has really been playing a lot.
Yeah. As you illustrate, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. So, I don't think I would doubt if he goes a half. Now, he would go a half if they don't have the ball a lot.
Right.
But if they get the ball and they get a couple of good drives, I think they might lean on getting him out. And like I say, when you take him out, then you can take Treader out, you can take Batonio out, you can take Robinson out, you can take Cush out, you can take Hubbard out.
And you're taking them out until opening day against the Titans.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Thanks for playing, guys. We're on to Tennessee.
It was funny when Freddie was told today about, hey, Baker said he'd like to play a half, and he kind of went, oh, did he? Is that what he said? We'll see about that. I'll talk to him about that. So,
last thing, everybody wants to know again about the kicking game. I think somebody joked that if Austin Siebert doesn't have a good week, it might be on, in his case, on to another profession. Now we're joking here, but this is a big week here for the 2 kickers, for Joseph and Siebert, because other people are going to start to become available potentially in free agency, and guys get cut, and you start to figure out other options. Heck, the Browns could call Carly Lloyd, and after she hit a 55-yarder in Eagles camp the other day.
Yeah, that's right. Well, camp ended today with a missed field goal.
Oh, of course it did.
Just the way it started. So that's the way it's gone. I think what you should do is you should watch Friday night, and the Buccaneers kicking situation is very interesting. They drafted a kicker in the 5th round, like Seibert, but earlier in the 5th round. The best kicker in college last year was this guy Matt Gay from Utah. Now, a couple of weeks ago in their preseason opener, he kicked a 55-yarder at Heinz Field, which is, as we all know, the Bermuda Triangle for kickers. Okay?
Yes.
There are kickers that go over there, and they don't come out of there after the game because it's just a weird place to kick. And he also kicked a 48-yarder to win the game last week. He appears to be the guy that the Buccaneers are going to go with, but they also have Cairo Santos, who is a kicker who's been around the NFL, but also with John Dorsey in Kansas City for a couple of years. Now, they took a look at him a little bit last year when they came up with Greg Joseph. So he's a much-traveled kicker. Now, I heard Bruce Arians say today he will kick first in the game for Tampa coming up on Friday night. They probably are putting him out there to see if someone would trade for them.
See if somebody would give up
something. That's a developing situation. I think the Browns are really fretful about their kicking situation right now, though. As much as they say, well, we still have 2 more weeks, they really don't.
Yeah.
They're going to have to. This is a real problem. It's real. It's not just a guy having a bad day.
No,
it's 2 guys having a lot of bad days.
Yeah, they understand. It's one thing if you're going to be a 5-11 team. It's another thing if you want to be 11-5 and you want to be a playoff team, and you got to have a kicker, and you got to have a reliable kicker.
Right, and a bad kicker can get you to 5-11.
Absolutely,
right.
real quick. It's like as we said. I feel it's like a bad bullpen in baseball.
Right.
I mean, it can absolutely wreck everything, all the good that you do week in and week out. Jimmy, have a great flight and a great trip
much.
to Tampa Bay.
Thank
We'll look
you.
forward to hearing you on Friday night with
Thank
Deke, and we'll talk about it next week. Man, preseason's winding down, folks.
What a shame.
What a shame. I know. Darn. But we'll get you ready for the final week of the preseason, and more importantly, start thinking about the Titans next week when Jimmy returns on Monday. So we'll have another show, though, for you tomorrow with a special guest that shall be named later. But until then, for Jimmy, I'm Dino. Thanks for watching. The Donovan Live Postgame Show is always presented by Master Pizza right here on WKYC's Facebook Live and YouTube. We're out.
All right.